Aries men, they can be a lot to handle. They're interesting, exciting, maybe just a tad selfish. But one thing you can bank on is that they are your biggest fighter and they will do anything to defend your honor. In this video, I'm gonna zone in on Aries men and what makes them tick, what are their personality traits, and what are they like in a relationship. Is ruled by Mars, which is the planet of personal desires and having the motivation to act on them. This means that naturally, Aries is a sign that is incredibly driven by their personal desires. Often, it's difficult to sway them in a different direction when they've made their mind up on something and they want to do something. They're ruled by the first house, which is the house of self. The first house represents what you show to the world, and it's also a house of great self-awareness. Now, for this reason, Aries individuals have a lot of self-awareness, but they have very little awareness of others. This obviously depends on their entire natal makeup, but because they're ruled by the first house, their main focus is usually themselves and what motivates them. Aries is a cardinal sign, which represents go-getter energy. These people want to constantly be moving. They want to constantly be trying new things or starting new things. Aries is a fire sign, which means that they have a burning passion within them for whatever drives and motivates them. They can also be quite fiery and intense to deal with when they're emotionally triggered. Because Aries is the first sign in the zodiac, one could say that they are the baby. They're the infant. The experience of life is completely new to them. They still need to develop all the awareness and all the skills to know how to exist cooperatively with others within this world, which is represented by their opposite sign, Libra. So for this reason, often when dealing with Aries individuals, it can seem like they just do not think much about others and they're mainly motivated by their own interests. But the reason for this is because is a baby super aware of your emotions? Is a baby super aware of you? Or is a baby only aware of its own needs? So in essence, Aries is often compared to a baby for this reason. Each sign has a different age, and as we go through the zodiac, the signs get older, but Aries is the first sign and essentially the youngest sign. Every Aries individual I've ever met has these sparkly, innocent eyes, and their eyes remind me of a child's. They look at everything with intense curiosity and intense wonder, and often this is what attracts many people to them. Obviously, not every Aries is super innocent, as many of them can have bad intentions. Often people can say that Aries individuals are selfish, but if you zoom in deeper, their intentions are usually pure. It might seem that they're being selfish because what they're doing is not conveniencing you, or it's not making life easier for you, or maybe they're not considering what you want. But usually when people call them selfish, it's because the person calling them selfish is being inconvenienced by their behavior, and their behavior is usually going after what their heart desires. So many say that Aries is outgoing and spontaneous and super adventurous. But I'm going to be honest, I actually know a handful of Aries males that aren't very outgoing and they aren't very spontaneous and adventurous, and they actually prefer to stay at home and be more comfortable and be in their comfort zone. And usually when this is the case, it's because they have quite a bit of Taurus placements in their natal chart as well, or maybe quite a bit of earth or water placements. But no matter if an Aries man is quiet or reserved or outgoing, one thing that they usually have in common is a love for things like weapons. Many Aries males I know will have some kind of collection of weapons, and they're very into things that are themed around fighting. They can be into things like martial arts, or they can do things like going to shooting classes, or they could even be into hunting. They could also be very into things like self-defense and learning how to fight to protect themselves and those they love. But if an Aries male doesn't really engage in these things, often they can just really be attracted to things that surround those themes in movies or in games or in literature and books. Generally, they're very attracted to anything that involves some kind of fight. The thing about Aries men is that they are your biggest fighter and they will fight for you in love. You know that an Aries man loves you as long as he will fight for you. But when he stops fighting for you, that is when you know you've lost him. An Aries man needs a woman that he can fight for, that he can defend, that he can stand up for. Often Aries men don't feel very satisfied when they don't fulfill this type of role in their woman's life. So being the kind of woman who's super powerful, super willing to always fight for herself and that sort of thing, it can be great and it's really good to step into that role for yourself. But allow your Aries man to fight for you every now and then. Allow yourself to step down and to let him take over, because that's really what motivates him. That's really what makes him happy. The thing is that don't make the thing that an Aries man fights against you. You don't want to be the thing that he fights against. You want to always make sure that he's fighting against other things, but never ever you. Aries men never back down. They'll always fight. If they think that they're righting a wrong, they will dive straight in and do whatever it takes. And the crazy thing is usually that whatever challenge or fight lays ahead of them, they're not scared of it. It doesn't matter if they have to deal with really scary and intimidating people or really challenging and difficult situations or even dangerous situations. They will do it. So like I mentioned, Aries are like babies and they're genuinely clueless about how they affect other people. So for this reason, one can say that Aries men are like a big baby, but not in a bad way. Babies are very lovable, they're adorable, they're super cuddly, and you just want to hold them and kiss them. And Aries men can be the same in that sense. But when they need to have their needs met and it's not being met, you will hear them cry. So Aries is probably the most honest sign out there. I have never in my life been lied to by an Aries, and Aries is always so straight up and honest. Everyone says that Sagittarius is the most honest sign, but personally, I feel that Aries is the most honest sign. I have been lied to by a few Sagittarians. Aries men never have hidden agendas. They're never trying to secretly keep something from you. What you see is what you get, and they're always completely upfront, which is one of my favorite things about them. Another thing I've noticed about Aries people in general is they're very healthy. I had an Aries friend in high school for 5 years, and he never got sick. Their vitality is super strong. They've got so much energy and so much fire in them that nothing can really get them down. But if you're in a relationship with an Aries man, it's really important to help him take care of himself. Often Aries men can be prone to things like head bashes or cuts or bruises or gashes because they move so fast. Their energy is very busy, and because of this, they can often bump themselves or injure themselves very often. I've also noticed that Aries individuals are usually too optimistic to suffer from things like depression. So this doesn't mean that Aries people don't get depression at all, but I've noticed that this is the one sign that potentially suffers from things like mental illness the least. I think the reason for that is because they're pretty focused on their goal, they're pretty focused on their vision, and they don't have that many negative thoughts and emotions running through their mind like the rest of us might have that pushes them into negative mind states. So instead of wasting time with those things, they just focus on what's important, which is quite admirable. The only thing that's difficult when dealing with an Aries man is his arrogance. It's very difficult to reason with them, and they often believe that they're always right, and they won't listen to your inputs. But I've noticed that Libra individuals are really, really good at dealing with this trait in Aries, and they can actually help dim and soften this trait. Those with Libra placements actually make Aries individuals much more aware of other people and how it's important to be aware of other people as well. If you ever want anyone to make things happen for you, go to an Aries man. These people do not shy away from challenges, and they're actually very excited when you present them with something to do or something to tackle. They can also be very, very helpful. One thing that really irritates an Aries man is slowness and delays. So if you can't make up your mind and you do not know what you want, he is going to leave you behind and go his own way. Aries isn't there to sit around with you to help you decide which way to go forward. Aries is too busy paving his way forward for himself already. So like I said, some Aries people are very outgoing and some are not. So what I'm gonna say now is that you have to keep up with your Aries man's pace. You have to keep up with where he's at and what he's doing. I don't mean that you have to constantly go out with him and constantly be outgoing and adventurous with him, because your Aries man might not even be of that nature. But when I say you have to keep up with his pace, what I mean is you have to keep up with his goals and what he wants to create in life. So if he's focused on building a business, if he's focused on building a house, whatever it is he might be focused on at that time, you have to make sure that you're on board and you're keeping up with them. An Aries man wants a woman who's going to support him, a woman who's going to be by his side, and not a woman who's going to make it difficult for him to achieve his goals. At the same time, you can't change his goals. You can't change what he wants to do, and he's going to follow that path, whether you like it or not. So you might as well find a way to get on board with him and accept it. If you feel uncomfortable with the path that he wants to follow, then maybe it's good to look at yourself and ask yourself why. Maybe there's specific weaknesses and insecurities within you that you need to resolve to allow your partner to step into their power, because often our weaknesses and our insecurities can cause us to prevent our partner from stepping into their power, from completing their life mission. So if his mission makes you feel uncomfortable, ask yourself why and maybe look at yourself. However, this obviously only counts if your man has a wholesome goal or a wholesome mission. And if his mission is, maybe a negative one or a bad one, then yes, by all means, have a problem with it. If you really want to hook an Aries man, talk about him. Don't talk about yourself. Aries men want to talk about their lives, their adventures, their grand plans. Aries men can actually get very irritated when the conversation is mainly revolving around you. So if you want to really, really catch his attention, ask him about himself. Ask him about his hobbies. Praise the good things you've seen he's done. Because essentially the way to really get this man's attention is to focus on him. So yes, sometimes an Aries man can have the archetype of the prince who saves the princess. But he's still fulfilling that savior role, that fighter role. And he wants to be appreciated for that. When the prince saves the princess, the prince gets all the attention. Everyone is super amazed by what he did, so this is kind of the dynamic that he plays. Yes, he might make you feel like the princess, but remember, he's still the prince who came and saved you. However, the thing is, if you give them the attention and the recognition that they need, they will give you all the time and recognition that you need. So, Aries men can be the best listeners. They can listen to everything that weighs on your heart and mind, and they will support you and they'll be there for you. But they'll only do that if you show an interest in them and who they really are. So Aries people are incredibly honest people and they don't lie straight out. But they can sometimes overemphasize their stories or themselves. So they can maybe make their story sound a little bit more exciting than it was. They can maybe attempt to make themselves sound more important or more interesting. But they won't flat out lie. They'll just spice up their stories a little bit. One thing that Aries men do a lot is trigger a sense of FOMO in other people. Often when other people look at what Aries people are doing, they're like, I need to be doing that. I need to be more adventurous like that. I need to be more ambitious and bold like them. Aries people really make us question why we don't go after our wants and our goals and our dreams with as much determination and vigor as them. We're sitting here with all our excuses and we're like, I can't do this because of X, Y, Z. Whereas Aries people don't have excuses, they're just doing it. Will an Aries man ever cheat on you? Probably not. Aries men are so honest that they won't lie to two people that they actually care about, or anyone that they actually care about. So before an Aries man starts a relationship with someone new that they might have fallen in love with, they will probably end the relationship with their current partner first, but they likely will not cheat. At the same time, it's not a good idea to play hard to get or play games with an Aries man because he's very honest and he wears his heart on his sleeve. What you see is what you get, and that's what he expects from you. Are Aries men jealous? Yes, they can be very jealous. But the thing is, they usually shower their partner with so much love, affection, and attention that their partner doesn't even get the chance to get eyes for anyone else. Aries men are some of the most affectionate men out there, and if his stops showing affection towards you, if he stops showering you with this love and appreciation that he usually does, then there might be something up and you should look into that. So there you have it. Aries men are some of the biggest fighters for love. And they're probably not the types to deceive you and intentionally hurt you. They're very goal-driven, and as long as you can jump on board with their goals and support them, you can be their partner for life. So thanks for watching this video. If you enjoyed it, please give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments what you thought of it. Are you dating an Aries man, and what has your experience been? Are you an Aries man, and can you relate to what I've said? I've added the links to my socials and my website in the description to this video if you'd like to reach out and see what I'm up to. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.